to the topic of the discussion and hit the issues you typically find reluctant. Remove the facade to fill the gap with some substance. We undermining problems, expecting to overcome it. Please hold the applause. We doing it for the cause. People follow culture before they follow the laws. We rather face the friction and not attempt it at all. Persistence will find solutions once our contentment dissolves. There's a hard pill to swallow for anyone breathing, both for folks who stay woke and those who be dreaming. We ain't slaves, yet we still ain't experienced freedom. What we need is the keys to access the kingdom. We're all in this fallen world trying to stay intact. I'm just a beggar, point you out to where the bread is at. So follow the breadcrumbs like Hansel and Gretel. Thank Yogi Bear and the thought engineer for that on Monday. It's Man Talk Monday. Woo!
Hey, what's going on, good people? Welcome back to Man Talk Mondays. Listen, you ever been with somebody and y'all so in love and, y'all start moving along and you have a little differences, but they don't seem that important. They don't seem that big, right? Then let's say you get married and now the small differences become huge differences, right? What do you do? How do you handle that? How do you get into a relationship or a marriage without losing yourself, without losing your spiritual connection, without losing your values and having to compromise, right? So we're talking about Unequally Yoked tonight. Before we get into it, how you doing today, man?
Man, I'm good, man. Just ran right out there, huh? I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm good. Ready to get it on tonight.
Ready to get on?
Ready to get on.
Let's get it on. All right. So let me remind everybody, this is Man Talk Mondays, an open forum where we give you the rational realities of relationships. But of course, we're doing it from a man's perspective. Now, keep in mind, this conversation is not just for men. We want everybody to join into the conversation. How you do this, go into the comment section, leave your comment, leave your question. We can see it, but by all means, this is how you talk to us. Kinfolk, where you at? Pull up. Speaking of kinfolk, we got some kinfolk in the house with us tonight. We have the members of the illustrious podcast, Queen 3 and King, joining us for this conversation tonight. So, Queen 3 and King, how y'all doing?
What's up?
I like it.
Glad to be here.
Good to have y'all building with us tonight, right?
Yeah.
Joining us for this conversation, we're talking about Unequally Yoked, talking about insights and experiences. Unequally Yoked. Now, last week we did an episode called How Not to Lose Yourself in a Relationship. But one of the things we have to watch out for in losing yourself is being unequally yoked. And when we mentioned it, people kind of like, oh, that's the thing y'all need to talk about right there. So we said, let's talk about it. Let's get into it. So I throw it out there like this. What does it mean to you to be unequally yoked? And anybody can chime in with the answer. What does it mean to you to be unequally yoked?
I think immediately when people say unequally yoked, they automatically think about church. You can't be a Jehovah's Witness, and I can't be a Kojic, because we're gonna be fighting on certain nights or 7-Day Advantage, and I'm a Sunday morning. It's gonna be some fighting. It's gonna be some fighting.
Hold on. But you said 7-Day Advantage.
Hold on, I was about to say rewind.
Somebody gonna say some Adventist.
See, I don't know.
I was about to get him.
Advantage or disadvantage. We know how you look at it.
It'd definitely be a problem.
No, I get that. Anybody else? How would you define unequally yoked?
Yeah, I would just say not sharing the same beliefs, and that's kind of how I would define it in a nutshell. I think there's layers to that, but in a nutshell, not sharing the same beliefs. It's totally layers to it, but immediately I go religious. We don't share the same values when it comes to religion. So immediately that's where I go. And it, like Alicia said, it can go different places with that, but that's the first place my mind goes. Yeah.
Well, for me, the first place my mind went was that half the folks don't even know what yolk means. They thinking you're talking about egg yolks, YOLK. That's not the yolk we talking about. We talking about the yolk that you'll see on a team of horses or oxen or whatever that has a wooden bar.
Come on now.
Of it, and it has a harness on it and it's actually designed to distribute the weight evenly.
Come on now.
You're pulling with the same, that's in the same direction, number one, but you're sharing the burden of the pull. That's what a yoke is. It is not that egg. It ain't that your egg yolk is bigger than his, and he got more yellow in his egg than yours. That ain't what it is. So that's the first thing. You can't understand being unequally yoked or equally yoked if you don't understand what the yoke is.
Wow. No, you're absolutely right. And a lot of people don't understand what their yoke is. So I'm glad you broke that down. And I hope people get that picture of what you just said. Typically, you would have a team of oxen with 2 oxen. You would put this thing on them so you can guide them together and they work as a team together. And that was a yoke. So when you think about in terms of relationship, thinking about that mental picture of those 2 oxen yoked up together, do you think people really understand what they're getting themselves into with relationships considering that?
Nope.
No.
Nope. All they thinking about, to use John's analogy, is him coming out that top rope anytime. That's all they're thinking about. They're not thinking about the hard stuff.
Well, and
I'll admit to you too, is that even though I'm aware of that sort of thing, when you get in a new relationship and stuff like that, you kind of forget about it. Even the most trained individuals forget about what it takes. You know, see, you said on the last show, don't lose yourself, but you better lose self. See, you don't lose yourself, but you better lose self and take self out of it, because if you don't, you're gonna be too busy looking over there to see if they pulling the same load you pulling. And you can't be looking. You better be concentrating on what you pulling.
Anybody been unequally yoked? You been in a situation where you've been unequally yoked?
Baby, this show just now. We better talk about it. Oh, absolutely.
Hey, what's going on, Mr. Ben? Listen.
Not even just relationships, friendships.
That's exactly right.
Friendships.
All of that. Like, business, period. Period.
Yeah, we get excited. We get with somebody and get excited, and that excitement kind of skews our vision of how we should see things. I remember when I first met my wife, and she asked me, she said, "Are you a Christian?" I said, "Nope." She was like, no, she asked me, was I saved? Yes, was I saved? I said, nope. Now, I've been in church my whole life. So I was at this point where I was like, man, I ain't feeling church. I ain't feeling the people, all this type of stuff. So I knew about church, but I said, nope. And she's like, I can't take you to meet my daddy. You know, her dad is a pastor. You can't meet my daddy. But it wasn't that me and Jesus was on the outs. You know what I'm saying? I just kind of had an issue with the church, but we worked out all that out. But anybody else you ever dealt with somebody? Let me get Cheryl. Cheryl says unequally yoked is like horse and a donkey hooked up together. They operate differently.
That's right.
You're absolutely right.
Can I be honest? Yeah, I don't want to. Y'all don't think of me differently, but shit, sometimes I done been the damn donkey.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go and tell the truth. I done been the donkey before.
No, describe what you're saying though. Why would you say to characterize yourself?
For a number of reasons. Number one, I was in it, just simply because I wanted to be in it. The necessity, the desire to be in it was higher than the rationale behind being. See, our minds are rigged to self-justify, so I can make it make sense. See, I can't make it make sense to nobody else, but you can always make it make sense to yourself, because you're gonna be easy on yourself. So it was just the desire and the look of wanting to be in a relationship. So you tried to make that square peg fit in that round hole, and it didn't work out. So as a result, you kind of know it doesn't, and they start irritating you a little bit, and you become the donkey. So I was the donkey because we wasn't equally yoked, and I was doing what donkeys do.
I'm scared they asked what the donkeys
do. He was acting a donkey. Yes, indeed.
I think all of us probably have been guilty of thinking love will conquer all. Because we be in a relationship and he's tall and slim. Let me see, I used to be about 6'3". We're not talking about me.
Pictures,
we're
brother.
gonna get on here and lie tonight.
and you got that girl that's fine, that's really pretty, and you looking at her and you say, oh, but I just love her so I'll work through all of the stuff. We can work through everything else. Yeah. And we get in a bad way with that. Love can conquer all, because love don't conquer nothing.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Love don't do nothing, get you put in the blender.
Especially if you're spelling it LUV instead of LOVE
right.
with a capital. So that's
right.
the problem.
You know the crazy thing, I can tell just as good if you ever been around somebody and they're one way, and then eventually they come back around and they thinking starts turning, it starts changing. And I can tell just as easily you been with somebody or you with somebody by how you starting to move different, you starting to talk different. And because that person they can turn your heart. And you've been in church, you know what I'm saying, in the choir, usher, all this your whole life, and all of a sudden now you don't even believe in God.
You don't want to sing no more.
We can't pull you in there.
Yeah.
But it typically leads back to somebody they done hooked up with.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody they done yoked themselves to and got linked up with. Dr. Selena says one way to notice that you are unequally yoked in any relationship, be it friendship, relationship, or situationship, is when jealousy against the partner rears its ugly head. Those on one accord have no room for competition, but collaboration.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I like that.
I like that too. So let me ask this. So when we talk about unequally yoked, is it just somebody believes in God, another person don't believe in God, or does it go deeper than that?
It goes deeper than that. It can be the way that you've been raised, your morals, values, your values, all that. It's
what you want out of life. Some people don't want nothing out of life but to chill.
Yep.
I just want a quiet, peaceful existence. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to go anywhere. I just want to Netflix and chill every day. I don't want to go on vacations. I don't want to save for retirement. I'm not into material things. I just want to chill. And the other individual is this go-getter, and they're, so they not pulling in the same direction at the same pace.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And when I think about that, what is it about us that gets so blind to those differences? Why do we get so blind to those differences?
I think John and I are thinking the same thing already. Go ahead, John. Go ahead. I know.
What you got, man? What you got?
No, I'm just thinking about it, because we've been young before, and we want what we want, even though we know it ain't good for us. Even though it's one thing I always say this about Rihanna. Rihanna looks like the type of person that you'll be in love with her and have to fight with her all the time. Girl, I gotta fight again tonight for you. She just seems like the type of person, and most of us want what we can't have. And most of the times when we're in those relationships with people that we know bad for us, that we know don't want what we want, but my heart wants them, and we listen to our hearts rather than our heads.
Yeah, no, we listen to the head, John, just a different head. When you start talking to mama and daddy crazy, like you have you ever had to look at your kid like, are you out your mind talking to me like that?
That's how you can tell they got a girlfriend or something.
They start smelling themselves.
Right. Yeah, that's what they say.
A lot of times we also think we can change a person. Like, oh, it's this one little thing.
That's the woman thing. Men don't do that. Men don't think we can change nobody. We'll put up with you. We'll suffer in silence for the longest. But women will hang in there and be like, I can change you. Sorry, go ahead.
But I've been in situations where I thought, oh, it's just this one little thing about him, but I could probably change that, or I can look past that because he has these other qualities that I like, and it has not worked out.
Ain't it amazing? Ain't it amazing, Alicia, how that one quality creeps over into everything else?
Oh my gosh, it overshadows everything.
Yes, how it goes. That one thing you don't like goes in everything else.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think as the more common you get with a person in relationship, the thing that you used to be kind of cute, but now it ain't cute no more, right? Because that luster then wore off on that relationship, and you like, I used to be, I'm with him. Now it's with, I've got to deal with him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that thing gets magnified at that point.
Pastor, you said something. You said that luster done roll off. How you spell luster?
L-U-S-T.
Yeah, you can't spell luster without luster.
That's just like having a new car. That new car is good till that new car smell gone. You got to keep making those payments.
Oh,
That's
man.
just the car. It's just the car.
You ain't lying. You ain't lying. Dr. Selena says mindsets must align as well as goals and values.
Exactly.
Do we even have those conversations though?
No, not enough.
Nope.
Not nearly enough.
I think we don't have it because we're scared.
Because
it runs that person off.
100.
Girl, you better say that. Because if you get to going too deep, let me figure out how I can either get in the bed with her real quick and be out, or I got to cut my losses and run out because I don't want to be a headache to me. I don't want to come across like a headache. Oh, he doing too much. She doing too much, and that generally run the guy. And it's hard out here in these dating streets, though. It's hard. So and because
you got a hand raised,
and because it's so hard, you want to make sure when you do meet somebody that you don't run them off.
But John, so that I do make sure that we are equally yoked in all areas. Those are conversations you try to have quicker than later because you don't want to waste time as you get older.
But how you sneak the conversation
runs people off.
But tell me how you sneak the conversation in, though, is what I want. I'm take us with you how you try to sneak those in. Because show us how you do it.
I'm no longer sneaking. Hey, do you love Jesus? And different conversations like you can't sneak it in anymore. It's just like, hey, what are your core beliefs? What are your values? How do you treat your family? Do you go to church on Sunday? What do do you believe in God? Like, it's just different stuff like that to do. You have to ask so that you don't waste your time.
I remember me and Cheryl, I think I told a story a couple weeks ago. Me and Cheryl, my daughter was going to a daycare and they were having a Halloween party. And my daughter, Janae, probably was about 3 or 4 at the time. And all she knew was they were going to have a Halloween party. And we were church rolling at the time. So, of course, it was blasphemy to even think about having your child go to a Halloween party. But we take my daughter to this daycare every day. And all she knows is candy and party. And y'all telling me that I can't be a part of it. So me and Cheryl that was one of the first times I remember me and Cheryl actually talking about how we felt about Halloween. Cheryl was a church roller when I met her. So she kind of pulled me in with her. And I was like, we got to figure out a way where we can do it. And not really say, we got to figure out a way we can compromise this thing.
Yeah.
She ended up going to the Halloween party, but she dressed up as Mulan. And not nothing that was ugly or
demonic.
Yeah, not nothing.
Demonic.
Did y'all tell her she was going to a Hallelujah Fest?
Be Casper, the friendly ghost. Hey, don't be this is Casper, the Holy Ghost.
At least you got kids, they don't understand that.
They don't. They're looking for the candy and the fun. That's it.
Yes, exactly.
See, that's how they get you with the candy and the fun. That's how they get you.
They have the kids all the time, and we supposed to tell them they can't go.
But you bring up a good point. How does the differences? How do they typically show up? How do those differences, when you unequally yoked, how do those differences typically show up in the relationship?
Oh, normally with me, with the kids, on how we raising them, it's funny because you go to the same church, we automatically think that we are raising the kids and beliefs are the same.
Oh yeah.
We don't talk about punishment and do you believe in corporate? Do you believe in because we got beat.
You're right.
My mom whooped us with everything that wasn't nailed down.
Yes.
So then I in turn believed in if it ain't nailed down, I'm finna hit you with it.
Right.
Whereas my wife, she wasn't really as much.
Yeah.
She the kind of chick that be counting how many times you hit the kid. Then talking about you hit him 5 times.
Heard that,
you don't get out of here. You don't get out of here.
Let me go back. I meant to do it 7 times because that's the number of completion. I wasn't through yet. We had to talk about our beliefs and how we felt about it. It's funny because when we were dating,
How we whoop the kids never came up. How we discipline the kids never came up.
Yeah.
What we believed in as far as the kids, how we want to raise them never came up. We both assumed that because we were in church.
Oh wow.
That because we were in church, we believed the same things.
Yes.
But the crazy part, we both came up in single family households. Her all girls, me all boys.
Oh wow.
And so my mama tried to kill us every time she seen hit one of us.
Right.
Whereas when girls, it's different.
Yeah.
So she was trying to make men out of us by every time. I think she was trying to knock the boy out of us every time she hit us or something. Whereas it was different with girls. So yeah, we didn't have a lot of those. We didn't have those conversations. I don't know what we were thinking. We were so busy trying to rebel and get married.
You're trying to hurry up and get out the house.
Hurry up and get out the house to where you run into something and you think it's, and you know, it's fun, man. It's, you know, being on this show, I've talked about so much stuff I've never talked about before.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, because we running out of the house trying to be grown.
Yeah.
Trying to run away from everything our parents tell us that we was gonna be, that we're gonna show them that they ain't gonna be us. And you run out there and you start having oh my God, we start having all kind of problems because we didn't have these conversations about what is that? You both go to church.
So you saying you both can go to church and still have different beliefs?
Oh my God. Oh man.
Oh yeah.
They don't even start that.
Absolutely.
That ain't even the beginning of it. It ain't even fair to take it to the church, to be honest. It ain't even fair. Okay, how about this one? If her family's educated and yours not.
Oh wow. Okay.
If anybody never been to college in your family, and all of them got degrees.
Oh wow.
What's going on with what the kids gonna do? Are you gonna expect the kids to go to school, or is it gonna be okay if they don't? Because it goes into how you raising them. What are we putting in them? Is there an expectancy there? Do we expect you to graduate and go to college and be some? What's the expectation? Because there has to be a clear level of expectation set for the kids. Because if you don't if you don't have nothing for them, they ain't gonna do absolutely nothing.
Okay, so the kids seem to be a huge factor.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Where the differences begin to show up. Is there anything else where the differences are really, blatant?
It could be finances, right? So if you talk about the leading causes of divorce, right? Finances is up there. I think finances, sex, and spiders is 1, 2, and 3. Causes of divorce.
What a dummy.
So, you don't talk about that sort of thing. You may have somebody who's a spender, and somebody else who's a saver, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, finances is a huge, if you're not on the same page, there's a reason why finances is one of the leading causes of divorce, because you don't see eye to eye on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it harder to find somebody with the same values these days? Is it even harder now?
I don't think it's harder. I think it's publicized more. We see it more there because of social media and things of that nature. And as a result, that makes it appear harder because more folks is in your business. And I promise you, the more folks in your business, the more scrutiny it is. How many of us have been in relationships that we made a decision based on the relationship, based on how our family was going to see them jokers when we brought them over to the house?
Oh, brother, I had one. Anyway.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was strictly the only reason why I wanted her. She was so bad, I was like, oh, when they see this one right here.
I'm gonna be like, nephew, I see your nephew.
Hey, ain't nothing like an uncle's. Ain't nothing like an uncle's
stamp of approval.
Stamp of approple.
Yeah,
no doubt about
absolutely.
it. But nephew,
I see you.
just like your uncle, boy. I taught you, didn't it?
Dr. Lita says, D and I were in the same church, always together and unequally yoked while dating until we had the limp conversation about our differences and created an equal yoke that we desired for marriage. Right. So what I said, is it hard to find somebody with the same values? You think about,
I think it is though.
Yeah, because I think about, like, we don't have neighborhoods anymore, and church used to be in the community. You know what I'm saying? We go to church 20, 30 miles away from where we actually stay. And, you know, and so back then, people you found, the houses were pretty much the same to a certain degree. So you found people easily that kind of had the same values, but now it's so all over the place that you could run across somebody and yeah, they could be in church and y'all so far apart because your backgrounds have set you in a certain way. And one thing I noticed about the whole money conversation, they say money causes divorces, or finances is a thing that gets people divorced. But I think it's more, it exposes your values more than anything. Money exposes your values.
Yeah,
that's it.
Mm-hmm.
When you get money, how you spend tells how you feel about stuff.
Yeah.
And so you talk about harder to find somebody with the same morals and values. Some people may come in and say, no, it's easier because you got dating apps and you list all your qualities and characteristics and traits and stuff like that. Yeah, but your choices just went from 30 to 30,000. So just by numbers, that makes it harder.
But who telling the truth on those apps things?
I was about to say the same thing.
Only
you
on
can be
Christian.
anything.
Only on Christian.
Go ahead, Lisa. Go ahead. Jump on in now to get on in that page.
I was going to say the same thing is a lot of times in those bios or in their values, they're listing what they want you to think about them. Sending their representative in before you meet the real person. So you can put anything on those apps.
Hey, you say because their representative got good credit. Yours is toe up. And you're not going to go on no dating app and tell nobody you got bad credit.
Yeah.
You're not going to tell nobody. You're not going to tell nobody that. You're not going to tell nobody. They won't give you nothing free.
Right. Because those dating apps are all about appearances. And we're talking about getting beyond the appearance and dealing with the actual person. That's a whole different ball game. So let me ask you: do you believe Christians are strong enough to get into a relationship with somebody else that's not a Christian?
Wait a minute, who Christians?
Yeah.
Okay, before y'all ask, hold on. Say, let me do this. Ladies and gentlemen, if you guys are listening and like what you're watching, please like, share, and subscribe. We're here every Monday. We have our very special guests on with us. But if you like it, like, share, and subscribe. And for our TikTok listeners, like and follow us on TikTok, because if we get our viewership up to a little over 100, I think, we can go live from TikTok as well. So if you can, please, guys, like, share, and subscribe. And stop being selfish and keeping this good thing to yourself.
That's right.
And remember, we are professionals. Do not try this at home. And now back to Unequally Yoked, insights and experiences.
So what y'all think? You think if a Christian and Muslim get into a relationship together, you think the Christian strong enough to influence?
They're as strong as that turban that he got on. No. Listen, and we say this all the time, and I think people think we're crazy. Relationships are the great equalizer. There is no strong. Listen, because to say Christianity would mean you are listening to God about your relationships. And if that's the case, there's a pretty good chance you wouldn't be with the Muslim person if you were listening to God. I'm just throwing that out. So you would have, in order for God to be in it, he would have to be in it. And most of the time, Christians want God in certain parts of their life, but not in all of it. And we need God in all of our. We need God in all of our lives because we are terrible. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Mika, I know Mika. Let me get Dr. Selena. She says having the right arsenal of questioning is how you weed through the representative to find the real them. So I was gonna say, Mika, you in the dating scene. You raised your hand. You said you in that dating world. How do you filter? How do you go about filtering? Do you have a specific line of questioning that you run through?
I do. And it's not
Oh wait, she asked how many bodies you got on you. You got over 100 bodies.
Out of it.
He probably don't know Jesus, then.
We get to that later. But I was like, so how many bodies do you think you have? No. But yeah, I do have a specific line of questions, but you can't hit them right on the first time you speak to them. So you kind of ease them in there. The first time we're talking, so how's your family like? Or your parent, how's your relationship with your mom? How's your relationship with your dad? You just kind of ease them in there. So you can't hit the dude with 30 questions the first time y'all meet. So it's a specific way that I go about doing it. Yes.
But
can I tell right off? 9 times out of 10, after the first 1 or 2 times we speak, I can tell right off if we're gonna be okay.
Ivan is about to get married. Ask him some questions. Ask Ivan.
So Ivan, you are you about to get married or you married?
About to.
He said fiance.
About to. All right. So we about to. How did that conversation go for y'all?
What conversation?
Just trying to see where you all were.
About the bodies?
No. I mean, just to see where you all were as far as your alignment with your values and stuff.
Okay, so my situation was unique, right? And that's how I know God was in it, okay, with my situation. So we met 14 years ago on the job. One of the first things we noticed about each other, y'all talked about Halloween. I did everything I could not to say nothing, because in a company or an office that had about 171 folks, 169 of them was in a costume. It was 2 that wasn't, and that was me and her. And so that started that conversation. Okay, so we were already kind of equally yoked. Then we kind of saw the same things, we viewed things the same, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of those conversations just took place over the years, just because we had the pleasure of being exposed to each other for several years. Now, believe it or not, she actually found an app that is about difficult questions. Okay, so there's some uncomfortable questions that they ask both of you, and then you compare notes, basically. So we have to ask questions, and then we come back and we may have to debrief. Like, what you say about that? Like, you answer that question like this, why? So we kind of forced conversations. We forced conversations to be had that were difficult, that may not otherwise come up. Because think about it, in real life, unless you're very intentional about that sort of thing, it could be a year and a half later and something don't come up, and then all of a sudden some come up. So we were simply intentional about it, and knew, because again, we're older, right? We're not a young couple dating. We had both been married before and divorced before, and saw some of the pitfalls, and we were honest about ourselves to our contribution to those failures, right? And understood that even though that ultimately those marriages failed, they were still not necessarily failures. They failed, but there was a lot of successes along the way. So we were smart enough to know, okay, we can take some good things out, and the things that we contributed to that was derogatory to that relationship, So again, we were just intentional about the questions that we asked. And I promise you, some of the questions and some of the answers turn your stomach, right? Wow. But what it does is it puts you in a situation where you answer those questions now in private, so you don't get embarrassed in public.
Ooh.
Wow. Boy, that don't sound like how you raise your kids.
Good. No, but when I think about how those difficult conversations, people are scared to have them. Is it better to have people like your village kind of vet people? Is it better to have people that you trust vet them?
Man. Yeah, bro. You got to be careful about that.
That can be dangerous.
Yeah. And you said the key word was people that you trust. And if it's not that, I mean, you got to trust them with your life.
Yeah.
If you're going to start getting them to vet folks, because if not, what are their motives in these vetting processes? So you got to be careful about that. I still come from the school of thought that you were very careful with what goes on in your household. And who you telling all that kind of stuff to, so I'm not going that direction. I'm gonna make my decision for myself, but I'm gonna try to be wise about it. I'm not gonna get friends and family to come vet nothing for me.
Alicia, Go ahead, Alicia. You was going to say something. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just agreeing. I was like, you got to be very careful with that. Like,
so you married? Alicia, you been married? You married, right? How long? 18, 12, 15, 20? How many years? I don't know.
You get on my nerves. It will be 6 this year.
6. Oh, so y'all still newlyweds almost.
Yes.
Almost.
Yes. And so me and Brandon, we met when we were 21. So I felt like we were very young and dumb when we met. So we went through a lot of growing together. And a lot of people were like, why did it take y'all so long to get married? I wasn't rushing that because I'm like, I'm doing this one time in my mind. I'm doing this one time and I want to make sure it's with the person that is for me. So we had to go through a lot of stuff. We grew together. We had situations where you talk about kids. That was a major thing for me because he came from a household that sometimes in the raising was very rah-rah. And I'm like, oh, we ain't doing that over here. Like, we're not rah-rah. Let's bring it in. So a lot of those conversations had to take place because I don't like confrontation. Like, I'll give it to you if I have to, but I don't necessarily like it.
Hold on, sir.
Please, Tyrone, your uncle.
I don't present confrontation unless you bring it to me. If you're bringing me that energy, I don't have that for you. Like
I want to smoke, nigga.
Nigga, am I
lying? But in fairness, Derek, though, at the end of the day, you're right. We all, to a certain extent, our friends and family do vet who we're with to a certain extent. It's not a full vetting, but you do look for a sign off. You
value it. Yeah.
You know, but hopefully that is just one of the factors that you consider, not the factor that you consider in trying to determine if that person is for you.
Because I know, like, for my wife, her dad's opinion weighed heavy.
Understandably, yeah.
It weighed heavy for, you know, me being able to date and marry her. So I was trying to see, did you have anybody in your life that you could trust, even if it's one person, to say, if this person say they good, I feel better.
Okay, I got a story. I think
you do.
So when I was getting ready to marry this, how
many Philip get married you had, man?
I was on married one more for Cheryl. Let me tell you, Cheryl was the second one. So,
hey, I'm counting them like Cheryl was counting them licks. Nigga, that's 5.
Cheryl has heard this story before. So okay. So I had a girl that wasn't.
She tried to see if she heard it before.
She heard. Everybody heard this before. So I had a girl that wasn't no good.
Oh, okay.
She wasn't no good for me, but she was really good to me. I'm gonna say that one more time. She wasn't no good for me, but she was really, really, really good to me.
It's a lot of reallys.
So I was going. I knew in my heart that she wasn't gonna be my wife, but I was like, what the hell? So you want to get married? And I said, God, listen, tomorrow I'm gonna ask such and such to marry me. And if you don't want me to, God, you gotta stop me, because I'm going to get the ring tomorrow. And I got paid every couple of weeks. It wasn't a whole lot of money, but it was enough money to go get something. And I woke up the next morning and I had a check for $18. So I figured, I'll never forget, I was cashing the check and the lady say, well, I got to break a 20 to get your money. Hell. And so that was the first time me me putting God in my relationship, and God came in and slammed the door and put a lock on it. Because when God did that, I never looked back that way no more. Because in my heart, in my heart.
Say it. Talk about it,
Cheryl. That needs to be the last time you tell that story.
But you can't be a blessing to nobody.
You trying to help somebody.
I'm trying to help somebody.
Just trying to help somebody. I get
Help
you.
somebody.
I feel you.
Cheryl said you better find you something safe to do. Find a safe story to tell.
I'm telling you.
Hey, don't give her nothing because she gonna be saying it all the way home. You need something safe to play with because I just said it all the way home.
Cheryl, put that one in your back pocket.
But I'm saying because back in the day, you couldn't get to the guy couldn't get to the girl without going through the father.
That's right.
The father did all the vetting, and I don't know why I color
the father is still who needs to do the vetting. You feel me? The father is still who need to do the vetting. If we in our community, in our culture, that is who needs to be doing it. I'm talking about with a capital F.
It's funny too. And to that point, my daughter's getting married in February, and they were with the house, and I asked her fiance, and which to your point, I said, "Hey, Janae is so how are you? Are you like she is, or because both of y'all can't be somebody got to be mellow?" He said, "Oh yeah, I'm mellow. I let her that," and I'm sitting back, and I said, "Yeah, because both of y'all can't be there because it wouldn't last 15 more minutes."
Right.
But it took, and I'm noticing that it takes dad, like you said, to be like to look and kind of, because he came to me and asked me for a hand in marriage, which I thought was, I didn't even think people did that no more down the street. But I know what was gonna happen in my house.
Right.
But yeah, you're right. I think we need to go back to that because I think the parents have a way to see you're gonna be good for her or you're not gonna be good for her. You know what I'm saying? They know, they ultimately know. But kids now, I don't think they want us in their relationships like that, which was surprising to me that my daughter did. Well, she wanted us to pay for it, so we had to kind of but it's not about that. It's not about that.
We ain't gonna let that piece go.
Y'all been talking about that payment since last year.
You're gonna get a good talking to when you leave here.
We talked about this yesterday.
But do y'all have that one person, at least one person that you kind of lean to or look to for that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or have you been that person for somebody?
I think I've been and I have. Yeah. A couple people on the screen are my folks. And somebody sitting at your house is another.
I don't take that lightly either, Derek, being that person. Yeah. I really don't. And even sometimes if my thought is that ain't gonna get it, I'm gonna deliver that information very slow and very deliberately. And I'm gonna make sure I got all the facts right. I'm not gonna just get that information because I ain't trying to be no dream killer.
Yeah.
He let me date this one person. I ain't gonna He let me date this one person for a few months. And then I was like, that's not the one. We don't match in this area. We don't match in there. He said, I saw that the first time I met him. And I was like, well, why? He was like, the Holy Spirit didn't release me to tell you yet.
Sometimes you can run somebody right to somebody, or, especially parents, because, a lot of times those kids are young and there's a rebellion period that comes about, anyway, I'm out on my own, I'm grown, I want to make my own decisions. So depending on how your relationship is, you'll run them right to somebody, and plus you always want to be that ear as well. You don't want to see that you come off half cocked. That's what they say in Hollywood, right? Yeah. You came off half cocked. I mean, you wasn't all the way loaded. You wasn't all the way, and I don't just talk just because I feel like talking, right? I talk when I get released to talk, and I get the right words to say, because if I say it when I want to say it, it's going to be ugly and it's going to be some hurt feelings and you're going to think I'm just trying to, throw salt in your game.
Right. Can these issues be worked through? If you unequally yoked, can you work through these issues? Is that possible?
They can. They can.
I think so.
I'm not saying it's probable. I'm saying it's possible.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay. So
everybody got to come with. Everybody got to have an open mind and be able to explain why doing it this particular way will benefit the relationship.
Because think about it. We're equally yoked. And when you talk about being equally yoked, you're talking about generalities, right? We're pulling in this general direction at this general pace, at this general, with this general destination in mind. But there are going to be a lot of specifics along the way that you're going to have to give up. There are going to be some compromises that you got to make, right? So you're not going to be 100%, equally yoked, even though it may feel like that. I know the first time me and my fiance disagreed, I was in the fetal position about to call John and say, take me to the lazy dog for lunch and let's talk. She disagreed with me, and we have never disagreed. You know what I'm saying? So there's going to be, moments that you gotta. That's why I said you can't lose yourself, but you got to lose self. And you got to understand what is the ultimate goal. And Selena said that at the beginning of the show, and we really could have stopped, where she was like, you got to make sure that your destination. It's not competition. It's not about the competition, it's about the collaboration. And if you don't have a collaboration mindset, if they don't work well with others, look at their kindergarten report card. What did it say? Do they work well with others? If they don't,
What if you got a person that's used to getting their way?
That's women, though.
And get out their way.
Oh, wait a minute, John. Wait a minute.
Alicia, you said a minute ago you wasn't confrontation.
Wait a minute.
But if it's brought to
my name in there. I'm a woman. You put my name in there.
Cheryl said if do too much was a person.
It's John Lewis.
Oh, yeah.
Well, first of all, relationship is the ultimate compromise. We always end up compromising way more than women.
Who is we, John?
We don't. Am I not telling the truth?
No, you are.
John, I want you to stand on it 10 toes down. Who is we?
Don't ask Derek either.
Now we'll run to my brother's defense real quick, because a lot of times there are things that we're just like, okay,
no big deal.
It's not a big deal, and so you set up the house. All right, we're good. We just, you want to go here? All right, cool. You got a specific place you want to eat? As long as it ain't nothing that's gonna make me sick, I'm like,
we don't care about that.
You know what I'm saying?
We don't care about that. Most stuff we don't care about most stuff. We want y'all to be happy.
That's true.
But somewhere along the way, we suffer in silence because we haven't put up no fight the whole time. Now we see that's a whole nother show.
Well, let me ask you. So does that make the no when it finally comes up? Does it make it more traumatic?
You think it does?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
If you giving all yells, because that no gonna take away all them yells. It's like you ain't never said yeah.
Yes,
that's so true.
Somebody tell me I'm lying. Y'all please tell me I'm lying.
I said it's so true.
I
broke up behind the no.
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna wait. The Justice of the Peace doesn't sign this piece of paper before I say anything else.
Yeah.
You know what's so funny about that? Me and Cheryl never argued before we got married. I honestly got right here to God. So we never argued. And as soon as that man said, "I now pronounce you," man and wife, he was like, "Let's get ready to rumble." I'm saying, oh my God, we must have fought for the next 2 months. Straight. I'm like, are we trying to make up for what we hadn't done?
Well, because I was going to ask, you said you never argued.
We never had a disagreement.
But did you ever get angry?
I don't remember. I don't remember being upset. It was perfect. It was almost perfect to a point to where I was thinking, this is
right.
But you don't want to jinx it by saying nothing. So you just be like. And then when we got married, it was like she said, "Whoo, I got it. I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like you doing that." Like it was.
Yeah, how long did y'all date before you got married?
We dated. You don't know? How they asking questions? You better answer. You on screen. We dated for I want to say 11 months. Today. Okay, so it was 1 month before I went overseas, and then it was the other two. So it's actually we were actually together 3 months because we were apart 8 months.
Yeah.
So that's why y'all. That's why because
that's how she accepted you.
Okay, there
you go. Say that's why because I can handle you long distance.
That was a good one. That was a
really good one. That was
all coming together now.
So let's say a person ends up in an unequally yoked situation. How would you suggest they deal with that? They made the commitment, and now they married. They now all this stuff starts showing up. How would you suggest they deal with it?
Well, can I say this before they answer? I just want to say it. I think it depends on what areas they're unequally yoked in, and if the other party will be willing to have a compromise, or at least try to meet them halfway. Because if it's finance, if it's spending, like if she come from money, he come from broke, she got to be willing to. She got to be willing to. It's still compromise though. Go ahead now, y'all. Go ahead now. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Y'all can answer.
It's kind of like moving backwards because now you have to have those tough conversations to really see what areas you're unequally yoked in.
But to that point, that's how we do stuff for the most part. Most of the time, we do in relationships.
You're right.
We're doing backwards.
You're right. You're right. So I mean, first you got to have those conversations. But like John said, some of those areas can be like detrimental to your marriage. Like you didn't talk about this. Now we're in it, but will it last?
You don't want no kids. You don't want no kids. Yeah.
Right. And you know, some people have had that conversation like, oh, I'm not opposed to having kids, but then they get married and like, no, I don't want kids.
I don't want kids. Yeah.
You can't do that. Like you got to be honest and really have that communication there.
And if your partner was deceptive going into it, then the rules of the game done changed as far as if they were deceptive and you were now in this thing and discover you unequally yoked. But if it was just one of the normal, natural ways that we get into unequally yoked situations where we're just doing them backwards, then how you approach it, in my estimation, is with grace and patience. That's the bottom line. You got to give them some grace. You got to give yourself some grace, and you got to be patient. You know, we in it now. You know, but so again, being equally yoked, you got to be equally yoked in several different areas, right? One of those are, how do you even see marriage? Is marriage something you can quit in your mind, or is it not something you can quit? You know, and if you got that established, that's right. If you got that established. If you got that established, if you're unequally yoked in that area, at the very least, you know, okay, we can work through anything. And there's a certain peace that comes to where we can work through anything, you know. And like I said, but as long as you do it with grace and patience, you know, you cannot be unforgiving, unyielding, dogmatic, you know, you're overly critical, you know. You got to give them grace and patience, man.
You see it. All I can think about it when me and Shirley married so long, I remember I kept trying to quit her. And she was like, Negro, we ain't boyfriend girl, we married. You ain't going nowhere.
No, for real.
They tried to quit her. We don't go together no more.
Right.
Do you want to break up? Check yes or no. Cheryl said no.
You better go cool down on that couch.
Better go drive.
I don't believe in breaking up. I don't believe in that.
Yeah.
So real quick before we get out of here, deal breakers. Do you have a deal breaker? Is anybody got a deal breaker? You like, we can't.
Loose booty. Loose booty.
Loose
booty. If that booty loose and you can't keep it to yourself, for me, I'm out to holler at you.
Okay, all right.
That ain't what came to mind. If that booty belongs to the streets, I'm gonna have to put you out in the streets.
But that's not a loose booty.
Yeah, that's exactly what that is.
Y'all thinking something else.
Yeah, because he was like, you threw it out there. I was like,
No.
I knew what you were talking about, brother.
I'm old school, man. Y'all got to know I'm old school. So that's what...
Okay. Any other deal breakers?
Multiple. When I say multiple, I mean more than 3 baby daddies, baby mamas. You can't have 5 kids with 5 baby mamas.
There's something to be said for if you got too many baby mamas or baby daddies. What kind of person are you? How can you just? I would have to agree with you on. I do. I agree. I agree.
All right. So we got sleeping around while you married to somebody, and you got baby mamas, baby daddies. Any other deal breakers?
Yeah, mine it really goes into a lot of these categories, but again, deception is one for me. That's why I brought it up. When you talked about that. You can't, being deceptive, about something that's a direct trust issue, and we all know what trust means in a relationship, which is one of the reasons why I really try to go out of my way to establish trust, in myself, so transparency, you got to be transparent. You got to be vulnerable. If you, as a man, if you're not transparent and vulnerable with a woman nowadays, man, you leave all that vinegar in the pantry, man, to save that for that red bag she got hanging in the shower, man. You don't need all that vinegar and vitriol.
With the little hook.
Oh, this ain't Queen 3 King. Come on, man. This ain't Queen 3 King. My bad. I thought we could say anything. Hey, that vinegar, man.
I am truly embarrassed.
Christina says any baby daddies is a no.
Not any. You can have
any baby daddy. She says why you didn't marry the woman you.
I mean, you gonna take it there.
All of a sudden, my comment looks very mild and meek, doesn't it?
My goodness.
Man, you gonna shoot up the club, buy the club. You know what I'm saying?
Buy the club.
Yeah, you need to be popping Infamia bottles in the club.
I mean,
all right, we've gotten down to our final thoughts. So we'll start with Miss Alicia. Miss Alicia, final thoughts, ma'am.
Unequally Yoked. This was a good one. I feel like there's even more layers that we can add into this conversation. But how I sum up this conversation is anything can be worked out. You just have to be a willing party. A lot of the times when we're preparing for a marriage, we're actually preparing for a wedding and not the marriage. So a lot of these conversations need to be discussed in the dating world. Like as we're dating and getting to know each other, have those tough conversations so that you know if this person is for you or not. Those are my final thoughts.
This was a good conversation. Thank you for having us on. And my final thoughts are really quick. Being unequally yoked doesn't mean it's impossible to be together, but you have to have 2 willing parties that are willing to work through those problems or issues that you may have in different areas and be willing to compromise and come to a place of an agreement. And those are my final thoughts.
For our culture, to be equally yoked tends to be from a spiritual perspective. It signifies a union with Christ, with high ideals of spirit. And all I can say is that in all of your relationships, just simply make sure that you're pulling in the same direction at the same time with the same pace and the same destination in mind. And those are my final thoughts.
My final thought is, you crazy. You've been telling you crazy for the longest. Go talk to somebody, y'all. Listen, don't wait till you get in a relationship and find somebody to dump your crazy on them. Talk to somebody. People get paid to talk you off the ledge. Not literally, but talk you off the ledge. You crazy and you got issues. You don't want to find that out when you're in a relationship with somebody. It's important that we become the best versions of ourselves because that's what we expect from somebody else. And that's my final thought.
I heard somebody say one time, they said, uncommunicated expectations become premeditated offenses. Mm-hmm. And I think we set ourselves up for a lot of arguments, for a lot of offenses, because we don't have the real conversations before we get into marriages. And even when we get in there, do we have enough courage to really have the courageous conversations? Because this leads to all of the turmoil. And then once you start mixing kids and stuff into in the mix, it gets that more complicated. So you really have to figure out, how true are you to your values? Is there room for bringing somebody else's values in and adopting somebody else's values on both sides? Because you try to become one, and becoming one is about adopting the same value system. That's what becoming one is all about. It's about a value system and coming under the same value system, to the point to where anybody who comes from your union, there is no confusion about what you believe, who you are, who they should be, and how they represent you. So have the tough conversations early. Save yourself a lot of time and trouble. And that's my final thoughts. All right, good people of Queen, 3, and King. Real quick before we go, Cheryl says, do you all have anyone that John can talk to?
He gone, sis. He gone.
Hey, real quick before we go, let the people know where they can find Queen, 3, and King.
You can find us on BS3 Network Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Central Time. Again, that's BS3 Network. If you got a Roku device, you can find us on BS3 Network there. YouTube, Facebook, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast, Spotify, wherever you get your favorite podcast, you can find Queen, 3, and King. And we behaved tonight. I'm just gonna tell y'all that. we visited somebody. We behaved. But when y'all come to our house, we act a fool. So just come visit us.
Say your mama taught you, don't go over there acting fool.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nothing, don't look at nothing, don't touch nothing.
Listen, we appreciate having y'all. Glad y'all came through. Enjoyed having this conversation with y'all. Listen, kinfolk, we'll be back next week with more. So stay tuned. All right. Thank you all for joining us. We're gonna catch y'all later.
Good night.
Peace out.